halftime as Georgia leads 24 to nothing over South Carolina at the end of the first half. And we would like your comments and your questions and whatever you may want to share with us as you have watched this first half for Georgia. Again, very efficient first half for the University of Georgia, scoring touchdowns on their first three possessions and then adding a field goal a little later on to make it 24 to nothing. Going into a very hostile environment in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. South Carolina fans very up and very high in their hopes of defeating the number one team in the country, the University of Georgia. But so far, Georgia is taking care of business. The defense doing what the Georgia defense does, and Georgia playing a very efficient first half. But a couple of observations from our part. Stetson Bennett, again, having a very good first half for Georgia. But then, in the middle of all of this stuff, Stetson Bennett throws a touchdown, and then he throws up. He upchucks. And how you doing, my man? So apparently Stetson may be having a little issue with a bug or whatever. It didn't keep him from coming back into the ball game. He came back into the ball game after throwing that touchdown and having that little issue of throwing it up. But anyway, Georgia now playing very efficient. Yes, sir, Aretha. They let the big dogs eat, and they are certainly doing that. And so if you have a comment, if you have a question, if you have something you want to share, you can step in here and we'll be happy to talk about what you want to talk about. So a very good first half for the University of Georgia. Just very good. And some of the other scores coming along, and we're looking at the feed coming in from ESPN. Oklahoma taking care of business against Nebraska big time. And Michigan is taking care of business against UConn. You wouldn't expect anything other than that. So let's see. Gene, how you doing? Brian? Yes, sir. Brian says, go Dogs. Indeed. And so what do you think about this first half? This game had a little weird vibe all week to it for some reason for me. Not that I really anticipated Georgia having any kind of trouble against South Carolina, but it had kind of a weird vibe for me all week. But Georgia, took care of business immediately. It looks like obviously Georgia has the superior team, and so there you go. You want to talk about the refs? Yeah, there on that last drive, when Georgia was forced to kick the field goal, a couple of plays in the end zone, and I'm thinking, seriously, is this not defensive holding or defensive interference? A couple of our guys got mauled, to be honest with you, in the end zone, and no calls coming, from the officials. Now, maybe I don't understand in the modern day of football, what exactly is holding anymore or defensive interference anymore. But it looks like, man, the defensive backs for South Carolina was awful handsy on our offensive players. But, that's the way it goes. And Georgia may have gotten away with a couple of calls as well. But, that's what you get in football these days. How about Starks? I tell you what, Malik Starks, he's already a star. He's not a star in waiting. He is already a star. And that tremendous interception he had against Oregon, and then another interception for Georgia. The thing in these kind of games is this: you always want to take care of business. If you're the favored team, like Georgia being the favored team, you want to immediately establish your superiority. You want to immediately take care of business. You want to take the air out of the stadium, and you don't want to give any hope to the underdog team, and that's what Georgia has done. They've taken care of business. So 24 to nothing. The defense bound and determined to have another shutout. Georgia defense again not giving up a touchdown so far this season, and through the first half of this game, Georgia defense continuing to do what Georgia defense does. Refs are wanting to get this game over ASAP. Well, I don't know the motives for the referees. I think it's not really a warm day or a hot day in Columbia, South Carolina. I think it's kind of a pleasant early fallish kind of day, but I can understand that the officials may want to do that. James says very efficient on offense, but the defense has given up plenty of yards. However, the defense is making the plays to end those drives. Well, I tell you, James, you're playing an SEC team that has some talent. Now, South Carolina has some talent. Spencer Rattler, he is a very good quarterback. Going into the season last season, Spencer Rattler was the leading Heisman contender when he was playing for the University of Oklahoma. He lost his starting job to Caleb Williams at Oklahoma. And South Carolina has some players, and so it's going to be very hard for Georgia, to shut out everybody. But you're right. When it comes time to shut down the drives, that's what Georgia does. So far, so good. That crowd is very quiet. Yeah, they've kind of tamped down a little bit. They call their student section the cockpit. You're playing South Carolina Gamecocks, and Georgia is doing what it needs to do. The number one ranked team in the country. Georgia doing what it needs to do. UGA getting pressure, hitting Rattler. Nolan Smith, yes, Nolan. Rushing three defenders. And so there you go. Let's see what we got. Bennett looking sharp to be puking on the field. I know. And I think at the end of the half on television, they interviewed Kirby Smart. I don't know what Kirby said about Stetson. It just, he may be having a stomach issue or something like that, but it looks like it's not affecting how he plays. So, hey, even a throwing up Stetson Bennett is probably better than, 9/10 of those who are playing college football these days. Baylor is beating up on Texas State 57-3. No, it's 21-7 at halftime. Texas State. Let's see what we got. Half the crowd has already left. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. If you have a comment, we'd love to hear from you. Yeah, stay strong, number 13. Indeed. I have a sneaking suspicion if Georgia puts another score on the board, you're gonna see Carson Beck come into the game. And to kind of give Stetson a little break. By the way, did you see this week? Stetson now is number 4 on the list of Heisman favorites. He was way down the list at the beginning of the season, but Stetson has just played tremendously. And he made his way all the way up to number 4 on the list as far as the Heisman Trophy favorites are concerned. Hopefully, we'll improve the run game. That will milk the clock, keep the better teams offense. Yep, I agree with you. I think you're going to see a lot of the run game here in the second half. By the way, how about some of these gadget plays that Todd Monken has called? I don't guess you can call them gadget plays, but unusual plays. You got a lot of end arounds and toss to here, toss back to there kind of thing. And Todd Monken pulling out some of the variety for the Georgia offense. Michael Ward says that the Bennett is allergic to chicken. Okay. Let's see. Kirby said Bennett overhydrated. That's why he puked. Okay. Which means he drank too much water. You can do that. You can overhydrate. You can drink too much water, then you get hot, and then there you go. So apparently that's what happened with Stetson. Let's see what we got here. What's Bennett's draft potential following another 250-yard passing game? Ken, from what I've seen and what I've read is that you know Stetson definitely is a pro prospect. It's being maybe banded him out a little bit that Stetson would be a good backup or something like that. I just who knows? I'm never going to count this guy out again. But he does have some professional potential, and I would not be surprised if he was not drafted. If he continues to play the way he plays, he's just a player, So we'll have to wait and see. But I saw one NFL professional, kind of guy talking about Stetson as a potential, NFL quarterback, maybe in a backup role or something like that. But we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait, obviously, and see. The catch by Bowers for the touchdown was amazing. As Stetson put it in the perfect spot. I agree with that. I tell you what. Now, Brock Bowers, he's something special. Brock Bowers is just absolutely something special. His hand and Todd Blackwood, I think, made a very good he made a very good analysis of Brock Bowers. He's a tight end, but actually he's more of a big wide receiver with that speed and talent and with the hands. He's just Brock Bowers is amazing, and the catch he made on that the throw that Stetson made when he turned around and a defender was in his face, and Stetson had to just throw the thing. That was amazing too. The catch that Brock Bowers made in that. Trip Block, how you doing, my man? Go Dogs and go LSU. Trip's one of our good friends. He's a big LSU fan, and so we'll be checking in with LSU a little later on tonight. And as they play, what is it? Mississippi State? Is it Mississippi State that LSU plays? So there we go. Let's see who we got here. Jerry, I think today we had some mishaps on yaps. Okay. Go Dogs from Wichita Falls, Texas. Hey, Jerry, I hope everything is good and in Texas these days. And indeed, go Dogs. Got to tighten up on defense, Jerry. Defense is not playing bad at all. You shut out an SEC team at home in a big game in the first half. None of us want the Georgia defense to give up a touchdown or a point. We have been spoiled big time. But again, you're playing an SEC team in their own stadium. And boy, it's going to be hard to shut these guys out. It just really is. So, fried chicken. There you go. And let the memes begin, right? Shane Bieber's reaction when the crowd wouldn't get off the field. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I think it was some kind of recognition that South Carolina was doing, maybe for a student group or something like that. And they had all of it looked like thousands of kids out on the field. And then when they came out of the timeout, the kids were still on the field. Yeah, and I love Shane Beamer. I got to be honest with you. I love Shane Beamer. His dad was a great coach, and Shane's just, he's a very honest guy, very down to earth guy. He's just a good guy, and Shane's going to do a good job at South Carolina. He's going to recruit very well, and he's already recruiting better. Shane Beamer, he's one of my favorite coaches in the SEC. So you go, Shane. Thank you, Trip. It is Mississippi State and LSU. There you go. Let's see what we got. What are your feelings on BYU Oregon game tonight? Would love to know what you think about it. Brigham Young is a very good football team. Very, very good football team. And I saw, I forgot who it was on SportsCenter says, well, the average age of the players on BYU was, is like 32. They are an older team. BYU very good, taking on Oregon tonight. I hope Oregon wins this game for Dan Lanning's sake. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. That Oregon defense has got to play better than it did against Georgia. And But I think that's gonna be a competitive game. It's gonna be, in at the University of Oregon at their home stadium there. So that should be a good game. BYU and Oregon, that'll be a game to watch. There are a lot of good games today that, I'm going to have to be flipping here, there, and yon on my television to see one penalty. Yeah, Georgia. Yeah, one penalty for the Bulldogs, and so that's a positive. Is it just me or the sound on the ESPN broadcast horrible? I haven't really detected that. Now, to be honest with you, come to think about it, as you're saying that, it seems a little tinny, just a little, not a lot of bass to it. I just a little tinny. Now, I love Sean McDonough and Todd Blackledge. I think they do a great job when they're broadcasting and calling a game. They do a professional job. They're not biased in any way. They have a pre-bias, I don't think. They do a great job. Yeah, it could be. It could be. You have issues sometimes in different stadiums. You have different capacities and that kind of thing. But come to think of it, yeah, it sounds just a little bit tinny. Imagine if it was Coach Saban had the crowd delayed coming off the field, he would have exploded. Yeah, that's true. And Shane Beamer is so expressive with his facial expressions, and I love the guy. But yes, Coach Saban. By the way, Coach Saban's still on those Aflac commercials, right? Wearing the jacket. He and Neon Dion, and they had a little tiff over the offseason. So that's kind of interesting. How many false starts has Kirby? Yeah, the D line shift. That's a cool thing. I mean, that is a cool thing. And I think maybe one time so far in this game that caused a false start by the offense. That's a cool thing. It kind of throws off the plans of the offensive line on who's going to block who and that kind of thing. That's cool. I tell you what, I was sitting here watching this game, and I just told my dear bride, and she's sewing while I'm watching the game, and I just told my dear bride, the University of Georgia football team is a very good football team. Now that's my assessment. Just a very, very good football team. Just the background noise is crazy. It is, the band doing the thing between every play. I have to kind of tune that out. But it's the atmosphere. It's the atmosphere. You go to Athens, you have that. It's the atmosphere, and I understand. Yeah, I got you. I got you. The sound is a little. It is a little loud. Um, yeah, yeah. I haven't now. Slamming a player and getting a flag now, unless it's egregious. I mean, you gotta tackle the guy, and sometimes, the way you get a hold of someone and, um, and you tackle the guy, sometimes it is tackle football, but yeah, yeah, but there's a lot of things, at play in, trying to, protect players, and so that's one of the things that, you know happens here. Let's see. Thank you so much for the halftime show. It's really awesome. You do a terrific job. Well, thank you, James. I certainly appreciate that. I sure certainly do. Um, well, thank you, Miss Jean. Appreciate that as well. We try to do a good job. We'll be back in at the end of the game. We'll get your comments at the end of the game. It's going to be a good day of college football. Now, to be honest with you, uh, you know, uh, I've been a little under the weather. You might tell by the tone of my voice. We're kind of dealing with some sinus issues and things like that. But when I was a kid and you played football out in the yard with the guys, you didn't you played hurt. If something hurt, you put some duct tape on it and you kept going. And so I'm going to announce. I'm going to announce hurt. Is it about time? Yeah, it's about time for the third quarter to start. So we'll let you go for right now. But thank you for being with us. By the way, our Dogs on Demand on Facebook and on the Facebook and Instagram. Be sure to check it out. Dogs on Demand. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and all of that we do is made possible by our good friends, Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. And they're just great guys. When you want to finance or refinance your home, be sure to check out Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs, and they'll help you to finance or refinance your home. They're great people. I know these folks. They will do you a good job. Yeah, they're in business to be in business, but also they're in business to help people, and that's what makes them so successful in what they do. So, hey, if you've got that need, and sometimes you run into that, contact Southeast Mortgage, again, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldog. Living in Texas, I use all the apps I can to keep up with the Bulldogs. Yes, sir, Jerry. Indeed. And, I lived in Texas, lived in Fort Worth for a while. I love Texas. Texas, a great place to live, wonderful people. Enjoyed it very much there. And so you hang in there with us, okay? All right, we're going to get out of here, and we'll be back with you at the end of the game. Thank you for joining us, guys. And we'll talk to you again at halftime or at the end of the game. This is halftime.